Hello, algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here, and this is your video I promised you, mainly for second period. 8th period seen most of this. There's a new twist. It'll help you with your homework 8th period. Hopefully you watch it. Second period, you seemed excited that I was willing to make a video for you. So here it comes. All right, call this standard form of a linear equation. Now before we get to it, I want to recall that we do know slope-intercept form. And remember I said to make flashcards? Okay, to help you study, this would be a great thing to put on your flashcards. Slope-intercept form, right? And you have to remember that it looks like y equals mx plus b. I'd put the slope-intercept form on one side, the y equals mx plus b on the other, and then I would make a little note that I know the slope, right? And I would make a note that I know the y-intercept, right? That's the point 0, b. And I would also put a note that y must be alone. So if you want to pause and start making your flashcard now, if you haven't, that'd be a good idea. All right, then we also learned point slope. Okay, and in point slope, we know a slope right there, and we know a point. And the point would be x sub 1, y sub 1. And so again, you make the flashcards. You put point slope form of a linear equation on one side, and then you have the equation on the other, and you say, well, the slope is m, the point is x1, y1, and you might want to make a note to yourself that remember to change the signs. Yeah, that looks like a minus y1, so we have a positive y1 there. All right, your third flashcard, actually it's going to be a lot of flashcards. For this one, you're going to have standard form. Now, standard form looks like ax plus by equals c, and there's an important detail. A must be greater than 0. In other words, a must be positive to be in standard form. Now, what do you call x and y? And you should all know that in algebra, x and y are, what's that, Mr. Stickrod? You got it. It's variables. Good, variables. Okay, and then what are a and b? That one's not as easy. We use this word a lot, but you, being first-year algebra students, are still getting it down. A and B are the, what's that? I'll bet Michael Burchard knows, the coefficients. Coefficients. All right. And then C, since it doesn't have a variable next to it, C is what we call a constant. Okay, it's just going to be a plain old number. C is the constant. All right. Now, when I am in standard form, ax plus by equals c, in other words, the x term and the y term are on the same side of the equal sign, the c term is on the other side of the equal sign, and a is positive, a is greater than 0. It is really easy to figure out your x-intercept, your y-intercept, and your slope. Now, before I do that, I want to ask you what's true about an x-intercept. Now, a lot of you are going to say, it's on the x-axis? Well, of course it is. That's why it's called an x-intercept. But think a little deeper than that. Look at all the numbers on the x-axis. And of course, this is only a small sample. There's an infinite amount. Don't they all have the coordinates some number 2? No, they don't. Excuse me. Some number 0, right? Like, isn't this point right here? Isn't that the point 2, 0, right? And isn't this the point over here, say, -7, 0, right? Any point on the x-axis is going to have a 0 for the y-coordinate. Now, to figure out where this line in standard form will cross the x-axis, figure out the x-intercept, I'm going to divide c by a. And it works every time. Yeah, if I divide c by a, from standard form, I find out where the line crosses the x-axis. All right. Now, to get the y-intercept, you'll notice first that if I'm on the y-axis, something is a little different. Well, what's different? If I'm on the y-axis, then the x-coordinate is going to be 0. Like, for example, that's 0, 8. Down here, whoops, in some trouble. This will be the point 0, -5, right? So the x coordinate must be 0 if I'm trying to figure out the y-intercept. So I put a 0 there. Now, you ladies and gentlemen are pretty smart. I'll bet you Ashton can guess if the x-intercept is found by doing c divided by a. I'll bet you Ashton can guess the y-intercept. What's that, Ashton? You got it. C divided by b. You're so smart. Great job, buddy. All right, so we've got standard form, ax plus by equals c. By the way, if you're making flashcards, I would make, multiple. I would have one so far that said standard form of linear equation. Now on the back, I would have ax plus by equals c. A's got to be greater than 0. And I'd mark that a and b are coefficients, x and y are the variables, c is the constant. But then I would have another standard form flashcard and would say the x-intercept from standard form. And I would have c divided by a, 0, like this. And then I'd have one for the y-intercept on the one side and the standard form of y-intercept on the other. I'd give the expression of how to calculate it, in other words. All right, so to figure out the slope is just as easy. To figure out the slope, all we need to do is take the negative of a and divide it by b. And that's how you get your slope, okay, when you're in standard form. You certainly could convert it to slope-intercept form, but I don't know why you'd want to. So I'm going to do a couple problems here, show you how to do this, how to graph from here. Now in each case, I'm going to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope, but I won't use all three to actually construct the graph. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think of the Jackson 5 who sang that famous song, A, B, C. Easy as 4, 3, 8. Yeah, okay, and then I'm going to go looking for my x-intercept. Well, I know that my x-intercept can be found by doing c divided by a, 0. Well, c divided by a looks like it's going to be 2. So the x-intercept is 2, 0. By the way, if I plug 2 in, if I substitute in 2 for x right here, and I solve for y, I will get 0. That's what this point is telling me. All right, now the y-intercept is going to be the point 0, c divided by b, like that. So to get my y-intercept, I'm going to get, ugly, 8/3. All right, or if you want, you can turn that into 2 2/3. Still not much better. You know what? I don't think I'm going to graph the y-intercept. I'm going to go ahead and graph my line and see if it crosses at 2 2/3. I'm going to use the y-intercept as a check on this one. Why? Because I got a number that was a little bit ugly. A little bit hard to graph 2 2/3. It's not impossible. Sometimes you'll come out with like 7 1/8. Well, it's really hard to graph 1/8. So in this case, I'm going to use the x-intercept on the graph, which I already did. I'm not going to use the y-intercept, but I am going to use the slope. And so my slope would be the negative of a over b, which means it'll be negative 4 over 3. So from that first point, I can rise and run. Hold on a second here. All right. And so I have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then write 1, 2, 3. Of course, I could go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back 1, 3, back to the left. There we go. And here comes my line. So let me draw a nice pretty line. Where are you, line? There you are. Okay, let me do it as best I can here. The more accurately I do it, the better it's going to look. So let's see here. Maybe I won't use the airliner for this part because it just goes so much better when I don't. The airliner's acting funny. Might be on its last legs. All right, so there we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. I'm going to put an arrowhead on the start of it. Yeah, just like that. I'll make it a little bit thinner. And I'll make it a color that's going to really stand out. Now, remember we said that the y-intercept was 0, 2 2/3? if you look where this line is crossing the y-axis, it's crossing between 2.5 and 3. Yeah, it's really crossing at 2 2/3. If it doesn't look like it to you, that's exactly 2 2/3. Well, that's why I didn't try to graph it, because it's very difficult to get it 100% accurate. Okay, all right, let's try another one here. So I've got this equation, 6x minus 2y equals 12, and it is in standard form because x and y are on the same side of the equation, and a is positive. So the first thing I do is find out a, b, c. Yikes. Easy as 6, negative 2, 12. All right, now go looking for the x-intercept. And the x-intercept in this case, why don't you pause the video, see if you can figure it out. The x-intercept should be 2, 0. Yeah, same as last time. That's just a coincidence, by the way. All right, the y-intercept. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can figure out the y-intercept. The y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 6, I believe, because it'll be c divided by b. So 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. So 0, negative 6 is right here. Now I have 2 points. I don't need to find the slope if I don't want to. I'll go ahead and find it, but you watch, it's going to be the same as the slope between those 2 points. So m is going to equal the negative of a over b, and that'll equal positive 3 or positive 3 over 1. So I can rise and run from either point, go 1, 2, 3, 1. And from here I could go 1, 2, 3, 1. And you see that if I would have used the slope from this black point to the x-intercept, I would go up 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1. Okay, so it worked out perfect. Let me draw my line. Now, like I said, I didn't have to find the slope on this one. You don't have to find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and slope just to make a graph. You need to do 2 of those 3. You're used to doing the y-intercept and a slope. You may also be used to doing a point, when you're point slope form, and then the slope. But you don't have to do all 3. All right, excuse me. So that's how you graph in standard form. And there's one more type of problem I want to show you, and then we'll wrap the video up. All right. We sometimes have to write equations in standard form or in standard form with integer coefficients. So take a look at this red one here, 4x equals 3y plus 2. It's not in standard form. How do I know? Well, look, the x and y terms have to be on the same side of the equation. C has to be over on the right by itself. So I look at this and I notice that the 4x is on one side all by itself, but the 3y isn't in the right place. So I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides, and I will get 4x minus 3y, because they're not like terms, and that'll equal 2. And now I'm in standard form with integer coefficients because a is greater than 0. All right. If I wanted to, I'm not actually going to graph, but let's go ahead and find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope. Well, the slope is going to be 4/3. The y-intercept is going to be negative 2/3. And the x-intercept is going to be 1/2, 0. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's come over here to the blue one. And in this one, it looks like I don't like where the 6x is. I got the 5y on the left. I got the 1 over there on the right. I don't like that 6x being there. So I'm going to subtract it off from the right-hand side. Now, this is going to present a small problem, but that's easily rectified. So we have a negative 6x plus 5y equals 1. Now, I don't like how it's a negative. A needs to be positive. So I could either multiply or divide by negative 1. So I'll go ahead and divide. We're going to do it to all three terms. And so we'll end up with 6x minus 5y equals -1. There you go. Okay, last example, and then we are done with the video. All right, so here we go. We've got 2x equals 1/3 y minus 1/2. Well, I don't like where this y is, so I'm going to subtract 1/3 y. And I'm always comparing it, even if I'm not stating it, I'm always comparing it to ax plus by equals c. Here you can't see that equation right now, but I know that equation so well, that's what I want this to look like. Now, it would be like this. And I want integer coefficients. I have some fractions. Integer coefficients means they'll be whole numbers or the negatives of the wholes, right? Like 5 or -5. Oh, and I'm going to want a to be positive. It's positive right now. I've got to figure out what number should I multiply all three terms by. Well, what would get rid of the 3? The smallest number that would get rid of 3 would be a 3. What would get rid of the 2? A 2. God bless you. So I'm going to have to multiply everything through by 6. And then this by 6 as well. Don't forget to do that. So I'll end up with 12x minus 2y, and that'll equal -3. And there you go. There you go. It's in standard form with integer coefficients. Tell you what, go ahead and find me the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope. Okay, well, it's like the x-intercept is going to be -1/4, 0. The y-intercept is going to be 1/2, or 3/2. And the slope is going to be, I think, a +6. Yeah, I think that's right. -12 over -2. -12 over -2. And that'll equal 6. All right, that is it for the video. Feel free to watch it again. We're going to get some practice with this in class on Tuesday. Mr. Lawrence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.